Well, that was a unique game for sure in a lot of ways. Give Maryland a lot of credit. I thought they came out with a terrific plan, and they came out kind of ready to shrink the floor on us and take away some options, and then they really came out basically saying, hey, we're gonna roll with Cowan and Herter, and we expected some of that, and I thought they were way more physical and tougher than we were in the first 10 minutes. But our guys responded. We've never played some of these lineups that we played in this game, and I didn't necessarily go into it thinking we were going to play some of these. I say that I had a passing thought that we might play some of these lineups. But the game kind of required it, and boy, we had so many bright moments. But Andrew Dokic's lift there in the first half was a game changer in a lot of ways.
Coach, obviously you said in the opening statement there, you guys didn't exactly play that well in the first 10 minutes. Took the timeout. And then obviously you guys, I think, went on was it 24-6 runs, something like that, and then obviously ended up being a rout. What was the message during that timeout that? It just kind of, it switched pretty fast. What was the message during that timeout?
Well, what I can say publicly is we got to play harder. We got to act like we care a little bit on the defensive end. And if you don't, a team like Maryland, with their guard play and their ability and it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night. Obviously they're down a few guys, but I've seen them play really well, being down a few guys because of how gifted they are. So, and because of the position Mark puts them in. So we just challenged them. We had some really poor missed assignments, and we really lacked some attention to detail. And it wasn't all young guys. It was a combination of some young and older guys.
You mentioned after Michigan State that you were surprised, but you wanted to see how they responded. Were you surprised by the response? And then at what point are games like this the expectation for you then?
No, I don't think you ever, I think it's an expectation that our effort and our attention to detail and our focus is what it needs to be. I don't think we can ever expect to make 17 threes in a game. I guess that's what I mean. I think that's unrealistic. We made some shots tonight that on an average night we're probably not going to make. We threw some things in there, although our guys did a great job sharing the ball. But I don't think you can necessarily expect these kind of offensive numbers. What we can and need to expect as a coaching staff is that we'll have 40 minutes of better attention to detail and a defensive focus about us. And like I said, I think our guys did that for about 30 minutes. And I need to get them more ready for those first 10 minutes.
You touched on Andrew Dokic and what he gave you. These last 3 games, it seems like he's given you an incredible lift off the bench. Did you think you were going to get this much from him when the season started, and how important has he been in these last couple of games for you?
No, I did not expect this. Yeah, I saw him in high school. I recruited him in high school when I was at Gardner Webb. So we saw him and liked him as a player, son of a coach, tough, competitive. Probably needs to keep his mouth shut a little bit more out there on the floor with some of the things. Yeah, I thought he, when I saw him in high school, I thought he was competitive and tough-minded, and I knew Dan, so I knew he had a real competitive streak in him, which I really wanted. That's 4 years ago. And then, we saw practice footage, which was really the only thing you could go off of. And I think the practice footage didn't show a whole lot, right? So we didn't expect this. He's been much better defensively than I anticipated. But I think that speaks to his maturity, and it speaks to his understanding. Being well coached for 4 years with John, but I didn't go. I'd be lying if I said I expected this. I wish I could say that, but I can't.
Chris, first of all, you can't expect a Dockage to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah.
second, the question, you mentioned these lineups that you haven't played. A few times when you were small out there, Maryland was big, two
Yeah.
bigs.
Yeah.
Do you just roll the dice and see what happens for a little bit, or do you think you've got 5 better small guys that can beat their 2 big guys and 3 small?
It depends on how tough your small guys are, really. And I think that's, if your small guys are soft, you're in trouble. 2 or 3 of them are soft, you're in trouble. I think if you're going to be smaller, then you better find a way to dig in and be a little tougher. And that's what Andrew provides for us. That's what Jay Sean's versatility, like we've not played him at the 4 this year at all. And we had to tonight because they weren't guarding him. And then they started out not guarding him or Andrew. And then when you had Caleb out there too, just the floor was so, it was we couldn't do much. So I think the ability to play smaller and then hopefully defend. Those guards did a good job fronting in the post when they got posted by bigger guys. That was good to see.
You already touched on this a little bit, but your guys were very efficient in terms of passing the ball, 25 assists on 32 shots. How important was it to create kind of that pass efficiency in creating that offensive performance tonight?
Well, I think our guys are trusting each other and trusting the pass. And as Coach Peden likes to say, the ball had good ball energy tonight. And we've gotten clearly better with that. Now, this was a game where we noticed they were trying to really take away our interior game with Caden, Caleb, and JT. So guys are going to be open, just pass to them. And I think they did a really good job of that. I don't know that I've coached it maybe a couple times, very, very few times in my career have we had that number of assists in general and on made field goals. It's really impressive. I don't know if I've ever had that in a league play game.
You were talking about the defensive effort after that first time, or that timeout that you called. There's a play when Keita closed out like half the length of the court and blocked a 3. Is that those are the kind of plays you're talking about? And what does that say about some of the things he continues to give you at that end?
Well, it's yeah. I mean, I think it'd be unrealistic to expect these offensive numbers to kind of continue for him. It's probably too much to put on the young man. They've just been incredible. But yeah, his length both at the rim and his length closing out in a situation like that, it's a game changer. And I don't know what we're going to do when we lose it. But we'll worry about that for another day. Goodness gracious, because it has really changed things for us, and his ability to switch and make plays at the rim. But I thought Jay Sean's ability to get his hands on balls that were really critical as well, and then Andrew's attention to detail. Those were the things that changed the game for us.
And I know you've talked about it. You can't play everybody 20 minutes a game. Micah got benched there for a long time, and we didn't see Kyle until late. Were those matchup things? Were those messages you were sending to those guys, or what?
No,
went into
it's
some
just
of that?
straight matchups. I would have loved to have played him. I told him that I would have loved to have played, but I didn't feel like, we were able to do it. And it's right. There's no way we can play. I mean, playing 10 guys is a lot anyway. Most teams are playing 8 or 9 guys right now, but we're still trying to play 10 guys. But it's impossible to ask. We didn't play Caleb a whole lot tonight, just because we felt like in order to defend their ball screens and how they were going to spread us out, we needed to play smaller.
Chris, given you guys coming off the big win, Maryland's a little undermanned, injuries and whatnot, just how important was it? I know you didn't like the first 10 minutes, but this game in general, just to make sure you win it the way you guys want to do, how important was that for continuing momentum and whatnot?
Really important, because listen, like, you've got to win the games that you have a chance to win in this league, because we're going to get beat up in this league. Like, that's going to happen. That's just the reality. Like, Rutgers is, I watched Rutgers play Michigan State last night. They are one of the toughest teams in college basketball. And so if you have a chance in a game like this where you have a little bit of a lead, you want to close the game out. Just because we're going to get knocked around in this league, and that's the reality. So to be able to come back and get them was really important. And like I said, they had the one shooter out today, but they've beaten people being shorthanded. And they've had some good wins being shorthanded as well. So we had a lot of respect coming in for them.
Chris, you heard some things about this team's, I guess, inability to respond to adverse situations when you took the job. Do you view getting down early in a game like this and responding the way they did as an adverse situation? And I guess just overall, as you've won some games comfortably, have you seen some moments that make you think that this team can handle that kind of stuff?
I think it remains to be seen a little bit. You know, we go on the road and it's a close game. You know, how are we going to respond when it's a 1 or 2 possession game on the road against Rutgers late? You know, we're going to play with poise, and are we going to respond to whatever comes our way? So I think that remains to be seen. I think that's probably still a legitimate question about us as a group. You know, you're right, we've had a couple games that kind of been able to not been taxed in that way. But we were earlier in the year and responded well.
And then, I guess, back to Andrew, you said when you took the program over, you weren't going to reach for a guy, but you knew you had to take a guard, somebody to play those minutes. Like, how much of a gamble did you view it as taking a player like Andrew, who really hadn't played at all, knowing how you were going to have to rely on him?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. The only reason it wasn't a gamble is because I knew who we were getting more as a young man, as a kid, as a teammate, as a guy that was going to really want to be here, dying to be here, and really want our team to win. So like all those things checked off. Those are things you worry about with fifth-year guys. Are they going to have a different agenda? What is their agenda going to be? They're going to be upset if they don't play. You know, his was, hey, listen, if I play 1 minute or I play 8 minutes, you know, we told him earlier, hey, you're going to come in as the backup, maybe the third-string point guard. Sign me up. You know, so we didn't have questions because all that checked out. I just didn't know what kind of production he would give us. But, you know, when you're sitting in June at one point with 7 healthy players, it's like, whew, like, I was about to ask you to come over here and play. I mean, it's like we're trying to find. I mean, we thought, honestly, at one point we thought about going to the rec league in the summer because of concerns about that, you know. But you know, you get Andrew and you get Musa and you know, and Kyle, and then you feel a little bit better.
Coach, at the beginning of the year, it seemed like your team was turning the ball over, you know, around 16, 20 times sometimes, and you mentioned that was something that needed to change moving forward. You know, now you all are turning it over high single digits, maybe low double digits. What's been the key to fixing that stat down the road?
You know, just better decisions, more understanding of how we want to value, how important that is to us, I think. And then our guys probably having a better understanding of offensively what we're trying to do. Probably also us putting our guys in better position. You know, I don't know that we always put our guys in the best position early because you're still trying to figure out your team a little bit, but just a greater appreciation for the basketball as much as anything. Now, I will tell you this. Like, that's going to get tested against Rutgers. That's going to get tested against some teams in our league, maybe like in Illinois, who that's what they do is turn you over. You know, the last 2 teams we played, that's not really been a strength for them. Michigan State's elite defensively, it's not really a strength. They don't really turn you over. So that'll get tested in some of these other games.
You're off to I'm sorry. Oh. You're off to a 5-0 start in the league. long way to go, 13 games left. But do you even look at the league standings at this point, or is it Rutgers? I mean, how do you handle it at this good start, but you got a long way to go?
Yeah, I really don't. I really don't. Just because of how, what is it, 27% of the games we played or whatever. It's, it's less than 30%. We just haven't played enough games to look at any of that. And I just, as much as anything, what we're trying to preach to our guys is enjoy this process of getting better every day and enjoy the process of playing, meaningful games in January and February. That's really fun in college basketball to do that. And, there can be all this conversation about what can, outcomes and results and what the standings and this and, all the stuff that goes on post-season, this. Just enjoy the process of because that's the fun stuff. And if we get too far outside of that, then I think we're going to stunt our growth, and I think it can get overwhelming, So as a coach, as players, we're trying to just preach, stay committed to enjoying this process of getting better. And I think up to this point, they've done that.
Coach, obviously you addressed the depth problem. Obviously I'm not going to bring up the rec league stuff or anything like that, but you guys played 11 guys tonight, 9 of them with meaningful minutes. I mean, it seems like depth is kind of turned into one of your stronger points here as of late. How much has that surprised you, and how much do you expect that to keep up here?
I think it's been good. I think we can keep getting better. The guys, whoever comes off the bench can keep getting better in some areas. We got to keep improving in that area. I don't know necessarily that I'd say it's a strength for us right now, but I do think we have some guys that have come off the bench and given us a lift here.
And then obviously brought up Rutgers, how you watched them against Michigan State the other night. They're very physical and tough team. What really stands out to you specifically, other than just their physicality?
They're athletic, really athletic, really physical. They play well together. They've got really dynamic guards. They're gonna win a lot of games in the Big Ten. I think they are.
Okay, last one here, Carolyn.
You guys had 17 three-pointers, ties for the #2 spot in all-time Ohio State history. Talk about that effort you saw from your team. It seemed like everybody was out there hitting threes.
It was great. It was great. We did make a lot of ones that were, there were some open ones, but there were also some semi-challenge ones that were made. I think what you appreciate as a coach more than anything is that, again, the guys' willingness to share and pass to the open man. But Cam and CJ have been in a really good shooting rhythm. And it's interesting, I was talking to a really close coaching friend on the way home after Michigan State. And he said to me, he had just got done watching the Michigan State game. And he said to me, he goes, Dockage is going to have to step up in a conference game and make a few open threes. He's just going to have to do that. And I think we kind of encouraged him in the last couple of days just to be ready because of how teams are going to play him. And lo and behold, he was right. So, all right, thanks, guys.